Facilities management, total quality management, total quality programs. Always in facilities operations, you're going to have some sort of measurement, some sort of metrics. We measure power, we measure budgets, we measure customer satisfaction, we measure equipment performance, we measure total life cycle. Just part of the measurements is part of the task within facilities. Okay, again, I go back to the CSI. We're always looking at, one, improving the systems and improving the operations, the service side. Okay, we're going to talk about value engineering, value improvement. Everybody familiar with that term, value engineering? Okay, we're going to talk about some of the parameters in that and what it doesn't mean. Okay, you don't engineer all the good stuff up and just have the junk or the trash left over. Absolutely not. What you do is you engineer the redundancies. You engineer the items that have no value base to them. You engineer those out of the equation. Okay, identify the best schedule, identify the best budget, and the best application. And then in the energy management program within a facilities organization, this is where I'll share some different type of aspects on mechanical systems. So we're going to touch bases on HVAC systems, different types of HVAC systems. So again, TQM, total quality management, will only succeed if the process is understood. It must be measured and it must be consistent. Why should it be consistent? Why not change it around all the time? It has no baseline, right? Right. So one item is it has to be measured because you've got to be able to count it, right? Am I improving or not? We always do that. Has anybody ever tried to lose weight? Okay, so you try to lose weight, and what's the first thing you do? What's the first rule of thumb when you first measure yourself? Oh, look at that. He's right there. He's done it before, right? So this is... So the middle of July, you know, sweaters, coats, sweatshirts, right? Everything you can put on, right? Step on the scale, whoo, look at that, right? So then what do? A couple weeks later, you shed everything. It's like, oh, look at that. I'm killing it, right? Okay? But again, you've got to measure to see how you're doing, right? And then you hit that plateau, don't you? Everybody's lost weight has hit that plateau, right? You hit the first 10, 15 pounds. I'm on my way for my 30-pound, right, reduction. Boom, and then you hit that block wall, right? And it's like, I've been dieting for 3 weeks and I've lost not even 1 pound, right? It's like, what is going, there's something wrong with the scale, right? No, absolutely not. It's one of those baselines, right? You get down to the point now you've got to work a little bit harder. Okay, so you met your plateau. Same thing on total quality management. You're going to meet the plateau on total quality management. So at some point you're going to have, just like Jack was talking about, realign the baseline. Take it to that next level. Everybody's pleased, it's 100%. Now what's going to be the next level for that next measurement, okay, requirement? Okay? So one of the first steps is going to be the problem solving. So you want to solve problems before they start, right? Okay? Again, that's just one of the fundamental factors on coming up with a program. Remember we talked about maintenance? We want to solve the solution before we solve what the causes are. We want to get down to the root cause of that original. It could be a problem, it could be a power interruptions, maybe it's a high heat area. But what I want to do is solve for the solution. I want to solve it one time and one time only. I don't want to react to it every time. So I want to come up with a plan that's going to solve the root cause of this particular issue. Okay? The next item is focusing on problems as they surface. Okay? So am I going to collect all the problems for maybe a month and then start to analyze them? What do you think? How about if I collected all the problems for a whole year? What would that do to my program? I'd have a lot of data, wouldn't I? Would I have a lot of upset customers? Yeah. Absolutely, right? Okay. Because again, why hasn't facilities responded to this? Okay. Example, yesterday, had someone in the cafeteria upset because we weren't serving turkey burgers.
Okay.
Seriously.
Okay, I want to know how that's a problem.
Well, we manage catering. So Ura's Food Dining Services, we manage, right, the catering, the entire, right? So they were upset because we ran out of turkey burgers. So I got 2 emails out of a population of a couple thousand folks, right? So here they are, emails pop up and says, Patrick, this is for you. You may want to handle this. This was from the cafeteria manager and 2 irate customers. It's like, oh gosh, that's a problem, right? How did we run out of turkey burgers? What happened, right? So again, there was an order. It was an order problem. So then what did we find out? We start digging a little bit deeper. Find out that we didn't process the invoices, so the company Shamrock Foods didn't process and send the turkey burgers.
Right.
So guess what? That was a root cause. So how come we didn't process the invoices? Well, accounts payable didn't pay it in time. So it kind of gets back to the 5 questions, the whys, right? So then again, we come up with another process. So here I am in the middle of the day, middle of Monday, figuring out why we didn't process turkey burger invoices. Hey, it's part of the job, right? So I go home, figured it out, right? This morning, we got the whole thing settled. Everybody's a happy camper. We got turkey burgers, and we got them this morning, and everybody's happy, right? But again, these are some items that always crop up. So what I want to identify is focus on the problems as they surface. And this particular one, responding immediately to the employee. I mean, for most places, like, who cares about a turkey burger, right?
Do they have the same thing every day?
It's a mix. And then with the venue, I mean, this individual, well, you've been in our cafeterias, Paul. I mean, they get a pretty good spread. But these individuals are set. I needed a turkey burger on Mondays. That's my routine. They're engineers. Don't change my routine, right? Okay? So it's like, well, we got hamburgers. No, I don't eat the hamburgers, right? Well, we got sandwiches, we got deli, we got Mexican food, we got all kinds of assortment. But for them, it was that particular. So again, problem surface, take care of it. Okay, deal with it. See what's going on. And then solve through reactive measures. Okay? How could I solve quality issues through reactive measure? That seems after the fact, doesn't it? Reactive, I'm reacting to something?
Well, future quality.
Sure. Right? Because finding out, such as the invoices. I mean, that was not a big item. I mean, here's an invoice for Shamrock Foods for this particular one that wasn't paid. Well, that's a reactive measure. So going back to accounts payable, talking to the manager, it's what happened on this particular one. Well, the batch didn't batch out the checks. Well, why didn't it batch out the checks? Because it was an off Friday when we set those off, so everybody was off. So we lost a day. So, what do you do about that? Well, then we cycle the invoices so somebody else gets them big off Fridays. So they don't sit in somebody's inbox. Something to that simple, okay? But imagine if it was energy. What would happen if they turned off the power to my site from Salt River Project? That would be a tough one to explain, wouldn't it? Well, let me see. I don't think we paid the bill. And General Dynamics, can we have a deposit before you turn your power back on? Multi-billion-dollar corporation, right? So again, when it sounds solved through reactive measures, it's so you can improve quality, okay, moving forward. All right? Now, this is what TQM is not, okay? It can't fix people. Why not? Aren't we always trying to fix people? Okay, you're only as good as what the individual is willing to accept or adapt to, right? Okay? It is not a training program. Why wouldn't it be a training program? I mean, there's TQM training, isn't there? Why wouldn't you want to keep retraining folks? Remember that first statement? It has to be consistent, doesn't it? It has to happen the same way every time, right? Okay? Does not mean empowering individuals. Why wouldn't that work? I'm empowering everybody in this classroom to be total quality managers. Does that mean you're going to be total experts in total quality management? Not necessarily, right? So empowerment, depending on how you apply it, okay, is going to be the basis, all right? Okay? It's not a quick fix. So my example with the turkey burgers, right? We fixed it, but what else should I be doing? Fixing the procedures and the process, right? And giving this feedback to the accounts. That's a good question. That's a good question.
Because that's accounting.
That is accounting, right?
And there's an accounting manager in the accounting department.
Right.
Blah, blah, blah.
But what does that do to my customers?
I agree.
Oh, right.
You have input, there's no doubt of that.
Right. So part of my responsibility to have a total quality management process throughout General Dynamics is to contact and notify the proper individuals. Right. So now, I mentioned this, I shared it with the accounts, payables management team, right? So now they have an opportunity to improve their quality. So from a facilities angle, it's like, I can't fly to Massachusetts every Friday and write a check out for Shamrock Foods. But I can express one concern, the benefits of improving that, and the impact to my customers. So if you consider how many cafeterias we have throughout the corporation and facilities and sites and so on, I mean, they can definitely mushroom, okay? So there's an opportunity to improve that, okay? So it's not a quick fix. So it's going to take time, but the first step was reporting it. That was the very first step, okay? It's not a life jacket, okay? For me, calling the accounts payable department and explaining, they took care of it immediately, yes, of course. But the next question is that, you know, why don't you purge and review the rest of your contracts, the rest of your accounts? See if there are any other types of maybe to a Granger's or maybe it's to a Staples or Home Depot or Office Depot, right? Maybe there's some lingering invoices, so maybe this was just the tip of the iceberg, okay, in regards to that.
How do they, when you come in and make suggestions, how do they take that? Do they look at you as you're the boss?
It's like everything else. I get a call from a manager, say in HR, and they get an employee that complains that it's too cold in their area, okay? It could be an ADA issue. I mean, they can't really work when it's extremely cold. So for me, my first response is like, oh, great, another complaint, right? But not really. That's my job.
Well, he meant how they perceive you.
The same way that I would perceive it. I would take that information, filter it, says I've got somebody that's too cold, okay? Now, my perception to that there is they're giving me data. They're giving me feedback on how I can improve facilities in my organization. Now, this individual in finance, not everybody responds the same way. Some of them are what? They're going to be insulted. How dare you tell me I'm not processing the invoices on time? You know, you're just facilities, and you're in Scottsdale to boot. It's quitting time here. I'm going home.
But you say, are you their boss?
No. No, I'm a peer. I'm a manager to manager. So what skills do I need now?
People skills.
Ooh, boy. Remember that argument I kept having with Curtis Life? Curtis is all technical.
Oh, yeah.
Equations all over the board, numbers and everything, right? That's facilities. It's like, no, Curtis, that's not all facilities. You also need the people skills, the soft side. Being able to talk to these individuals to encourage them to help you with your problem.
Right.
And you know, and it works in reverse. If I get a fellow manager that talks to me and says, Patrick, you know, we got this little slight issue. I know that's probably out of your control, right? Say all the right things, I'm on it. I'm all over it. I'm in the BCAS control center adjusting the temperatures for this individual. Why? Because he talked to me in the right tone, in the right way, right? And he asked the right questions. It's huge. So that's the other flip side of facilities management, being able to work with people. Influence. Okay? Good question. They don't report to me. So the best way that...
Something like a subcontractor, you don't hire them, so it's not like...
No. There are fellow General Dynamics facilities or accounting and finance. And part of that is accounts payable, accounts receivables, and billings and so on. But for me, it's an item to where I'm going to be talking to a fellow peer. So how I present this problem, you know, to them is everything.
Well, it's all about making those relationships before you have that problem too.
Yeah.
So you know those people, and hopefully you have a good relationship with that other manager. So when you bring something to them and say, hey, I had something happen today, and I was hoping that you could help me out.
The only thing I can tell you, you're an entertainer.
Oh.
Every day when you show up to work, you're on stage and you're entertaining. That's about the only word I can come up with that, right? So yes, when the caller ID comes up with a certain name, it's like, so you let it ring over to voicemail and you wait for the light to light up. It lights up, oh great, they left me a voicemail. This is great. This is now, I got to answer the phone, right? But I don't do it all the time, just certain times, depending if I'm busy or not, right? I do it sometimes. Okay, so, but that particular one, that's going to be a people issue. Okay, but again, what I'm trying to do is improve the quality within facilities. And again, my expectations for the finance manager would be the same for his organization. I mean, that's how we all improve. But how you bring it across is huge. Okay, how you present it. Okay, and again, total quality management is more comprehensive than ISO 9000. ISO 9000 is a quality metric, right, on how to improve processes and procedures. But total quality management is consistent and it's measurable. Okay, so it's a continuous effort. Okay.
Should I know what ISO 9000 is?
ISO, there's different types of classifications. What is ISO? International Standards, is it organization? Okay, ISO. So there's different types of ISO classifications. This particular one pertains to quality, There's a 14,000. There's a new one to 50,001, which is the energy, okay, certification. So there's different types of certifications. But in this particular one, the ISO 9000 is a quality, okay? And it's a standard that's set throughout the industry. Okay, so in other words, when you get ISO certified, that means that you've gone through the procedures, and you go through the auditing process. And part of that auditing process is all your procedures, practices, and policies, okay, and review to that, okay? Now, this last one, quality cannot be delegated. Why not? Why not can I just pass it on to the next individual? Can you call accounts payables over in Massachusetts and tell them we got a problem with the invoicing? Why is it better to be handled at a certain level than just delegating that? Any thoughts, any ideas?
You know it's taken care of, and you can explain to people firsthand what exactly happened.
Because now I got to explain it twice, 3 times possibly on what I was trying to get across. And then sometimes it depends on the authority level. You know, being a manager versus a supervisor, or a director versus a manager. So sometimes you can gain more ground by initiating this. Now, does it take time? Yes, right? It took me about 2 hours to, work everything through, do some conference calls and schedule a meeting, right? But it's part of my job. It's part of my facilities management job. Now, did that have anything to do with the facility, with equipment or maintenance or anything? Nothing at all. However, it did affect one of my customers. So when I responded back to the 2 employees, right, that had the issue, the complaint, I mean, for them it was like, gosh, I can't believe that you followed it all the way through back to Massachusetts and took care of it. But again, you thank them for their input, okay. And then TQM, quality assurance, quality control, okay. NOR engineering, okay. These are never the same each time. So I may have another invoice issue where they haven't paid an invoice, totally different set of circumstances. They're never the same. Okay, so each one has to be looked at individually. And why would that be? Let me flip that over to maintenance. Why couldn't I apply a certain quality metric to my electrical systems versus my mechanical systems? Why wouldn't the same procedures and practices apply to one system versus another system? It's all maintenance, isn't it? Any thoughts? There you go, right? Because electrical systems, okay, and different applications on the pieces of equipment and what they do. Okay, I always get this argument from my mechanics and my electricians. Well, without power, your mechanical systems don't work. Well, without my mechanical systems, it doesn't cool your electrical bolts either. So they always go back and forth. But you're absolutely right. It's 2 different applications. So whenever I engineer a quality program for one, I can't expect it to rubber stamp it on the other one. Okay? Same thing with plumbing systems and life safety systems and fire protection systems. And then TQM is about correcting what matters the most. Okay? Highest priority. So again, I go back to maintenance. The highest priority, we already mentioned, is the occupants of the building. So life safety is going to be one of those. It's going to take the top priority on that particular one. Then improving them over time. So what's going to be the most important, okay, to improve within your facility? And then you ratchet it down, so you prioritize them. So at my facility, it's always life safety, and then it's down to the almighty dollar. So manufacturing systems, downtime, minimize downtime. And then it gets down into the procedures and the services, so you prioritize those particular ones.